Hi there, and welcome to our Altos webinar. I'm going to go ahead and give it one more minute. We're going to see if folks are going to go ahead and sign up or log in and get ready. All right. I'm excited today to share with you a little bit more about Altos. A little bit of housekeeping. We are going to take questions. You'll see that you can ask a question up at the upper portion of your webinar window, and you can ask a question there. I'm going to take them towards the end. You're welcome to use chat and mention where you're calling from or where you're joining from and all that good stuff. I'm going to go ahead and we're going to switch gears and I'm going to share my screen. So just bear with me 1 second. All right. So welcome. Welcome to this new learning series. My name is Jessica Lucke, and I am the Director of Client Success at Altos. I'm super excited. We have decided to start this new series to introduce the basics. Basically, like, let's go through the market reports. Let's go through the platform. The goal really is to get you familiar with the tool itself, but also provide a use case, something like a takeaway that you can implement right away. For those of you who have been in my trainings, who have attended my webinars, you know how passionate I am about these reports. I've been working with Altos for 16 years, so a lot of time under my belt, and I've learned a lot. And one of those things is that these reports are so valuable. Things I've learned over time is that, a lot of you, if you haven't, of other folks who create their own reports, right? They go capture the data. They go and try to figure out a way to put it in a format that makes sense so that they can present it. And so Altos is amazing because we take that away from you. We create these really intelligent reports, but we make them super simple to understand. We take into consideration how people absorb this information, okay? So all of you who are attending may be on a different plan, but bottom line is you're utilizing these market reports. And oftentimes people will say, okay, what should I do first? What is really important when I get started with my Altos account? And to me, it's branding the reports, making them your own, right? So that you can share these reports with clients and have your branding associated to it. They can share it with their friends and family and et cetera. It's a great marketing piece. But the whole goal behind Altos really is to present market data in a simple, easy to understand format, right? You're going to attach your brand to the trusted local insights, and you're going to share consistent weekly market updates. That is what's really important as well, consistency. So the first thing we're going to walk through is branding the reports, okay? So when you log into your account, what you're seeing now is the landing page of your Altos account, okay? What we want to do is we want to make sure that you take advantage of the branding. So if we go and click on one of my reports, notice it's reflecting my branding. This is my image, my name, my contact information, and the color scheme that I desire. This is super simple, but so important. So if we go here to that platform and we click on my name and select my profile, you will see here is where you make those changes. Okay, we can go ahead and hide this, make this wider. Bottom line is it's pretty straightforward. You're going to put your name. What is it that you are sharing? All right, it's a market report. You can say Jessica's localized market report. You can put your subheader text. Who are you? What's your email address? What's your phone number? Okay. The footer text can have your URL. You can have your phone number, your color scheme, and here's where you're going to upload your profile picture, right? So your headshot or your company logo. It's one image for your reports. But this is such an important part, right? Today, we're going to talk about these reports and give you a high-level overview of understanding the reports themselves. But how can you incorporate these reports into an open house, right? So if it's got your branding, that packs a punch, right? So that's going to be super helpful. So I highly recommend that you go about setting up your branding so that you can take advantage of that. You're going to want to capture leads. You're going to want them to be able to reach you. So this is a really great tool and a really great first step. Okay. All right. So going back to reports, again, this is your landing page. We're going to focus on our report. But first, I want to point out where you can get a little bit more assistance, not just for you, but also a document that you can share with your clients so that they can better understand the market reports as well. So if we click on knowledge base, when you click on knowledge base within your platform, you have two options: video library, which is a video tutorials, and what says product guides. Click on product guides, and you'll see here that you have the option to download the report explainer, which looks just like this. Okay. So here's our market report explainer. So this tool is a high-level overview of the components that make up the market report, something that we're going to talk about today. This is a really great tool to use in your conversations, because if this is relatively new to you, you're going to want to have some bullets to share, and it's great. That's what these are. You can walk through the report using this tool with your clients, okay? High-level overview of the components that make up the report. The best thing is that the second page provides all of the statistics, the definitions, and the why we care. This is really important as well. People tend to not want to ask about specific statistics because they don't want to admit that they don't know. Now you can proactively answer any of the questions they're never going to ask, right? So it's really a big deal. This is a really great tool. So anytime you're presenting the report, especially if it's physical, this is a great tool to also print out, okay? So consider doing that. And again, where do you find this helpful tool? In your platform under knowledge base, okay? And then under product guide. All right, so today we're going to talk about my local market. I live in Los Gatos, California, within the Bay Area, 95032, okay? And we're going to use this as if I were an agent who is going to host an open house. Now, first off, we're just going to go through the report, but then I'm going to share with you how to position this in an open house, okay? So as we're looking at this, you'll see that you have three components that make up this report, three sections. The first section here answers the question, is it a buyer's market or a seller's market, and how much so? How does the market compare to this time last month? This is a summary of how's the market for the area of interest that we're looking at. So every report that you have, whether it be county, city, or zip code specific, they're all going to feel the same minus the actual data, right? So summary of how's the market. The second portion is our historical data. Okay, so the historical data gives you 5 years to look back, where you can change the statistic if you'd like, right? And then the third portion is the market segments. The market segments will allow you to dive into that inventory where you can look at, hey, let's talk about the nature of the market for the most expensive 25% of properties versus the least expensive 25% of properties. The nature of the market does differ between price points, and we're going to talk about how important that is when we're dealing with open houses. So that is the high level of the report itself, right? And when we go and we focus on this first portion, first we need to understand what is the data that we are presenting, right? And I emphasize this so many times, so those of you who have been in my training know, right? What is the number one thing to remember about our reports? We focus on the 100% active market. And it might differ from what you're used to looking at, and that's okay. But understand what our goal is. Our goal is to answer the question, how's the market right now, right? How do we do that? Sold data takes a bit, right? It's a little behind. So it's a very great resource and super important. However, it's answering a different question. That's answering the question, how was the market when a property sold 4 to 6 weeks ago? So that's not what we're interested in. We're interested in the now. And in order for us to answer the now, we have to update it more frequently than the standard market reports that are monthly, right? So we update these reports every week. We provide leading indicators of change so that you can gauge if change is happening, and if it is, when it's happening, and not reacting to something that's already happened, but reacting to the change in the moment. And it's very, very powerful, right? So really important, we focus on the 100% act market. Now we have nationwide coverage, which is awesome, right? We have, thank God, a data team. That data team will go and do the capture. They process, or they go through capture data. We have hundreds of sources, right? So they do the capture, they stop the capture, they process that data over the weekend and publish on Sunday afternoon, right? So every week you have fresh content, and every week you can see that update. Are things ticking up? Are things ticking down? Huge, okay? So really, really important. So again, 100% active market, updated every week, right? So that you are always in the know. What is the biggest thing about that is consistency. We are consistently capturing the same information week after week after week. We are consistently publishing the same time week after week after week, right? You are sharing this content with your clients potentially, and it is consistent. They can gauge trends. They can gauge with if there is a leading indicator of change, okay? So great. So now we look here at this summary. How do we go about really explaining this? And it's awesome. Right here, we've got our market action index. I always call this the heart of the report, right? The heart of the report, because it answers that main question. Is it a buyer's market or a seller's market, and how much so, right? So market action index, it's not a term you're used to because it is our own proprietary algorithm. We don't disclose what makes up this algorithm, which is just a fancy term for private equation. But every equation has a weighted end result. And our data team, again, thank you, has determined that when that weighted end result is 30, it is a balanced market. If it's greater than 30, it's going to favor the seller. If it's less than 30, it's going to favor the buyer. Thank you, visual, right? Because at a glance, I can see that it is a seller's market. It is greater than 30. It even tells me why, because what we've done with these reports is we've understood that everybody absorbs this information differently. And I joke around and I say, hey, if I go walk on the street and say, hey, you want to look at some market statistics? Not everybody's going to get excited. You're aware that there's tons of different personalities out there, right? And everybody absorbs the information different. So I'm very much a visual person, even after 16 years. But I work with a bunch of what we call data geeks. They love the numbers. They want to get into the nitty gritty. Great, let them. Then you've got my mom. Don't show me pictures. Don't give me numbers. Just tell me like it is. We provide narrative that talks about what the numbers and what the images are trying to present. So a little bit of something for everyone. And what I love is that this visual, no matter what report I look at, I can quickly get to the answer to that question. Los Gatos citywide is going to take into account all the active inventory for every zip code within Los Gatos, right? Notice the number has changed. It is no longer a strong seller's market. It is a slight seller's market. But if I look at just the inventory associated to 95032, I get a different story. And that story is very important. That's why getting these localized market reports are so powerful. And I know a lot of folks like looking at countywide reports, but diving down into a city, diving down into a zip code can be very powerful. And I will share that diving down into a segment can be extremely powerful, right? So great, we've got this market action index. You now know, okay, this means strong seller's market. Worst case scenario, you forget, it's going to tell you, right? 30 is balanced. Now, if this answers the question, is it a buyer's market or a seller's market? This is the why. And not only does this answer the question right now, but it also is saying, hey, how's the market compared to this time last month? This gray is a running 30 days back. Great. So what is this saying? No real change since this time last month. You look at Los Gatos, it's a little hotter than it was this time last month. So super important, right? At a glance, no matter what report, you can go from one to another in a heartbeat and be able to gauge the difference between the locations. And if this answers that question, the real-time market profile is the why. And the why just lists all of the main statistics that we want to focus on. You are presented with the latest information here, right? With 13 weeks to look back. It's hard to know where you're going if you don't know where you've been. So it's really important to have that kind of view, but we want to focus on what's happening now. So median list price, pretty straightforward. It's based on the total active inventory, but this is only single family homes. You will notice that you have two tabs, single family homes, condo townhouses. Click the button and everything updates. Okay, so total inventory, great. Median list price. You'll notice that we have average days on market versus median days on market. That's neck and neck, not always the case. Sometimes there are stale pieces of inventory and that shows up here, right? When this number is significantly greater than this number, that is just indicating that there are stale pieces of inventory and it's worth a conversation, okay? Now, I want to focus here on the price decrease. Price decrease is a leading indicator of change. What is really important is to understand what is typical. Well, 35% is what's typical, and it's mentioned in our report explainer. So we're sitting at 33 in this particular zip code, so great. But what do you notice? It's ticking up. So next week, what is this going to be? Or the week after, what is it going to be? Is it going to continue to tick up? That's a key leading indicator of a change. Are we going to see a cooling effect in the market, right? This is also a great indicator when working with sellers. Hey, keep an eye on this percentage. We want it to stay the same or go down, right? Great. So this is a great leading indicator. Another one is relisted. When things start getting really murky, this will show up, right? What we're looking for is a steep increase over time. But 10% or less is typical. Now, this is a straight shoot up, okay? Oh, that's price increase, but relist is straight down. The 10%, right? So great, 10% or less. Now, if it started to tick up over time to 15 to 20 to 22, right? Steep increase will then mean a weakening, right? A cooling effect in the market because, things are falling out of escrow, buyers are backing out of contracts, it gets a little muddy, that kind of scenario. So that is a great leading indicator as well. We've got inventory, median rent, and here's our good market action index. And again, 13 weeks instead of just 1 month. So we go back here and it was 62 at the end of March, right? So summary, is it a buyer's market or a seller's market? Here's the why. Scroll down and we've got our median list price for our 5 years. All right. We have the 7-day, and we have the 90-day. The 7-day is that update week after week, right? That's noisy. So we wanted to create a line that made sense that you can actually read, and that's our 90-day. The 90-day happens to be the 13 weeks averaged out. Great. So we've got that. What people don't realize is that you can deselect, okay? Highlight it, go up here, change the statistic, inventory, deselect, focus on the trend. What is the trend implying here? The trend is saying, hey, listen, inventory started to climb and now it's leveling out. Why are these reports so helpful? We've got the leading indicators, but these charts are also leading indicators of change. How? This is saying that it's leveled out. You will see the momentum in the 7-day before the trend kicks in. That means you're in the know before most. So turn on that 7-day and look, it's not leveling out. It's actually declining. And if we wanted to zoom in, we can go here, hold down our mouse, drag it back, go back 1 year, and we can see, right? Reset the zoom. So having that key indicator is also really important. Think open house, right? And you've got buyers going through the open house. They need to know, hey, Inventory, the new inventory is kind of slowing its roll. If anything, it's decreasing. So if you want to buy, right, that's a leading indicator that you need and you want to highlight. Okay. So again, you can change what your view is here. You can also say, hey, listen, this 53 is the score based on total active inventory. What is it when we rerun the algorithm on a segment? What does the segment represent? The segments are the same inventory, right? But we are listing it from most expensive to least expensive, right? So now we have 4 lines. Most expensive 25% of properties at 7 million, least expensive 25% of properties at 2.3. The nature of the market's going to be different, right? Rerun that algorithm and you'll see that. You can see the most expensive versus the least expensive. The score for most expensive is 36, slight seller's market, and 60 for the least expensive 25% of properties. Okay, so it allows you to do a lot, but you can also take it at face value. Now down here, market segments is one of my favorites, and everybody's market's a little bit different. If you're familiar with the Bay Area, you know how important the segments are, right? Especially when you're having an open house. So to that point, what is this? This is the now, right? So most expensive 25% of properties and the median of that set, least expensive 25% of properties and the median of that set. What this allows you to do is help set expectations. What can you expect for your money for 2.2? Well, roughly 1,500 square feet, okay? This is the lot size you can expect, a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, and a 76-year-old home. It's about right, because that's where my segment is, by the way. How many new pieces of inventory have come onto the market this last week since our previous capture? 1. How many absorbed since our previous capture? 0. How quick from list to pending? 7 days. 7 days? That's huge. Especially if this summary of all inventory says 49. So that, in my opinion, is something that every buyer needs to know, particularly if you've got those buyers who are getting ready to get ready, right? Oh, I've got 49 days on the market. Oh, I can kind of just coast, right? But if they want to make a decision and they want to move soon and they want to buy a house, they need to know the latest, and it needs to be based on what they're most interested in. This is saying that the demand is significant in that bottom segment, that price point that they're most interested in. And that is really valuable information. And a lot of this information shouldn't be shock and awe for you. This is being able to visually present data that you know. It creates trust, right? It's not something that you're just saying. In addition, these reports are so valuable because you're able to remove some of the emotion and then lead them with data, because it's a very emotional time right now. And when you are making this big investment, it is an emotional roller coaster, right? How does it feel outside? I can tell you, we drive down the street in this neighborhood and see all the open houses and go, ooh, what does this mean, right? We'll follow the data. My husband does it all the time. Right? All these open houses, well, they're gone the next week, and you can see why. The demand is great. Go to the mountains, it's a little bit of a different story, right? So hopefully that's helpful. So these reports can, in fact, be awesome for just that, right? To be able to remove the emotion and lead with data. Now, we've gone through the reports. How do we incorporate this into your business? And there's plenty, right? So we have plenty of opportunity. But one of the things I want to focus on, and I've mentioned, is the open house scenario, right? With the open house scenario, you can print these reports and use them as conversation starters, right? So how do we go about doing that? You just come up to share for any report. So you want to get that zip code specific report and convert it to a single page PDF. The single page PDF is converted. So you see this, and then you're just going to want to print this, right? Have it be nice. I'm a little bit picky. So, get nice paper, whatever, but print out copies, not just to hand out, but to scatter, right? You can put it in a frame if you want, but you can look at this report and highlight if you like. So looking at this, highlight that it's a strong seller's market, right? You can highlight the indicator here that inventory is dropping. You can highlight the segment that that home falls within, and you can talk about the fact that, hey, this has how it competes in the market, right? You can hone in on this and talk about what's really happening. How's the market for this home, not how's the market for the zip code. And that, again, is very powerful. It's got all of your contact information on there, right? So this is such a great thing to do. And it's a great conversation starter. You tend to go in and you have these folks who are like, oh, don't want to make eye contact, but they want to know how the market's behaving. And so now you have something that you can share. And you're not just talking about the Bay Area. You're not just talking about Los Gatos. You're talking about the zip code, and you're talking about the price point that they're interested in. Because open houses are opportunities for casual visitors. You've got the neighbors. I'm a total looky-loo, by the way, but I am a potential seller. And remember that, right? So you want to convert some of these looky-loos, right, into future clients. And so how can you do that? So we're going to take it up one notch. And to do that, you are going to create something like this for your open house. Never miss important changes in your local market. This is the QR code associated with my Los Gatos 95032 report. It says, hey, scan it, use the search function to pull up any other area of interest, and click subscribe. You can now convert those looky-loos and have that contact end up in your Altos account, right? This is super simple. You take your headshot, you take your logo, you add your branding to it, right? It's something that you can create, and you can put it in a frame. They can quickly scan it, put it throughout the house, whether it's the kitchen, the living room, all of that great stuff. So with that, how do you get that QR code? So again, we're going to go back to our platform. We click on reports. This is a quick actions moment. All we need to do is click on market reports, find the area of interest that we want. So we're going to go here, 95032, right? This is what we need, and we download the QR code. It's an image file. That image file you incorporate into your document. That document you put in a frame, a couple of different prints, right? So hopefully that's helpful there. So what I've done this time is, instead of just telling you, and I did show you, right? I did show you this, but I did want to kind of just print it out and show you what's possible. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Hold on 1 second. And I'm going to show you. All right. So what I did is I have it. Right? So you can put it in a frame like this. You can put it in a plastic frame. But oftentimes I do training and I tell you, hey, go get the QR code. So I wanted to create something that you could visually see and see how it would work in your business. And I'm hoping that this is super helpful. Okay. So that's one thing. And then you can print them out. And I know it's kind of hard to see, but here, what I've done with this one is I've highlighted that bottom segment. So you can print out 20 copies. It's easy. Just highlight what you want. I've highlighted this and said, hey, you know, inventory is dropping, high demand, strong sellers market. For those of you who are using a company account, right? Great. Well, attach your business card. So print out multiple copies, attach your business card, use that at your open house. And again, you can print out all of these copies, right? You can put them around the house, but it's such a great vibe, right? It's such a great way to have conversations. And again, you're going to show yourself as the expert. And I think that that's what's so valuable, is that that's really what you want, right? You want to build this relationship with any of the folks that are coming through. And don't overlook those neighbors, man, I'll tell you. Because if you truly are the expert in the market and you're saying, hey, we could potentially sell your house in 7 days, holy smokes, right? That's a big deal. You don't know what's on their plate. You never know, right? And you've got reports for other locations. So you get to know them, and maybe they're wanting to sell their house to buy a different house. So take that into consideration. So hopefully this is super helpful for you. I'm really hoping that, you know, this is something that you value, that you learn more about the report. Please place your questions in the QA. and I'm happy to go over some of those questions. If you're not interested and you don't have any questions, please feel free to go ahead and close out. We are going to do these learnings every other week. And so our next one is going to go and be platform based. So we're going to talk about the platform, navigating the platform. And again, I'm going to incorporate a use case that you can take with you, right? A takeaway that you can incorporate right away. Right? So let's see if we have any questions. Yes. Okay. So where do you get the market explainer, right? So again, here's the platform, right? Your landing page is your reports. You're going to go to the knowledge base, and you're going to go ahead and go to product guides. So click on product guides, and you'll find it here. Okay. And that explainer is here, and you can just download the PDF or you can print it out. And so that's another visual you can always have as well. All right. Are there any other questions? Let's see. All right. Well, feel free to drop a note. Let's see here. Anybody in the chat? Okay. All right. Oh, here's some more questions. Let's see. Yes. Price increase. Okay. Can you explain the price increase and decrease? Absolutely. Okay. So let me get over to the report. I have to share again. Apologize. Get my bearings straight here. All right. So if we go back to the report here, it's also within that market explainer, but I like to walk through it a bit. So when you think about price decreased, it's based on the active inventory. So of the active inventory, 33% of that inventory has had to take some sort of a reduction since being put on the market, right? So 33%, well, 30 to 35% is typical. So of the 21 pieces of inventory, 33% of that inventory has had to take some sort of a reduction since being put on the market again. So we're not saying what the magnitude of that price decrease is, but that's the percentage of folks who have taken a price reduction. And so if you think about when you're doing a listing presentation, this is a really great one. It helps you to position it in a way where you need to be strategic with pricing, right? Because you don't want to have to participate in this percentage. And you can also keep them engaged with what's happening in the market by saying, hey, I'm going to send this to you weekly. Pay attention to this percentage, right? If it continues to climb over time, we may have to come back together and talk about the price of your home. Okay? Very, very powerful. Now, same with the price increase. So of the 21 pieces of inventory, 10% of that inventory has had a price increase since being put on the market. So they could have taken it off the market and put it back on the market at a greater price, right? Maybe they made it an improvement and then put it back on the market with that improvement and increase the price. It's still considered active inventory for 60 days, right? So if they go off the market for 30, put it back on the market, it's considered relisted, right? And it's relisted at a greater price. So hopefully that makes sense there. Okay. All right. Looks like that question was asked quite a few times. Can we do the branding report with a free account? Aha. All right. Great question. So if you have a freemium account, the branding possibility is not there, right? So you're going to have an Altos branded report. That's the one single report for free, right? So you do have to have a paid subscription in order for you to have that branding capability. Yes. So if you've registered, which you obviously, you will get the recording. So Gail, yes, if you're on the road and it has not been working out very well, you'll be able to rewatch it. This is a good question too, Miriam. Is the marketing material available in Spanish? And not at this time. So we only have them in English at this time, but it's a great question. All right. Well, again, thank you so much for attending. I hope again that you found it was valuable. If you have any questions, you're welcome to reach out. We've got Jeff in the chat. He's helpful. If you want to schedule a call, you're welcome to do that too. If you want to learn more, I encourage you to keep your eyes open for future invites. Like I mentioned, the next one we'll be talking about the platform, getting you comfortable with the platform, hopefully uncovering things that you didn't realize. But biggest advice that I have for you right now is if you've not branded your reports quite yet, please do so. Because even that, you've got the reports, there's lots of visual assets that you can utilize within your Altos platform that will incorporate that branding that works so well in social media, in postcards, in print material. So definitely take advantage of that. And if you have any difficulty, please don't hesitate. Reach out to support at altosresearch.com, and we are happy to help you out. Again, our goal is to have you be successful and use these at your next open house. And I would love any feedback that you might have on how it went when you did. Okay, so reach me at jessica@altosresearch.com. Send me your updates, send me what you've done, and I'd love to hear it. All right, so you guys have a great one, and I look forward to you participating in our next session.